We are going to study about the stresses and strain. My name is K.C. Bhosle, Assistant Professor at Department of Mechanical Engineering, Sanjeevani College of Engineering, Kopargaon. We have referred some books. In this session, we will going to study about the tension test, stress and strain diagram, and mechanical properties of the material. So to conduct the tension test, we have a specimen. So this is the overall length. We turn it to the gauge length, what is the gauge length required, and the diameter. So there are two parameters are required. One is the diameter, DO original diameter, and original gauge length. So normally the gauge length is 4 times or 5 times to the DO as per the Indian standards. A tension test is generally conducted on a standard specimen to obtain the relationship between the stress and strain, which is an important characteristic of the material. In the test, the uniaxial load is applied on the specimen and increased gradually. The corresponding deformations are recorded throughout the loading. Stress and strain diagrams of the materials vary widely depending upon whether the material is ductile or brittle in nature. So for different materials, the nature of the stress and strain diagram will be different. If the material undergoes a large deformation before failure, it is referred to as a ductile material or else brittle material. So there are some some softwares are designed by IITs and NITs to conduct the test. So we'll go to this web page. This is the page developed by NIT Surathkal. So under the virtual labs, they are going to conduct the various tests like tensile test, compression test, torsion test, shear test. All these are available on this page. So we'll see the virtual lab on this tensile test on mild steel. So in the tension test ends of a test space. In this one, the theory is given, procedure is also given. You have to go for the self-evaluation, then simulator. One assignment will be given, quizzes are there, videos also available, and what are the references are there. So we'll see some properties of this one. So very good material is available on this virtual labs. So this is the graph of stress and strain diagram on mild steel. So this is the elastic region. Then we are getting some points: proportional limit, elastic limit, and yield point stresses. Then after that, yielding starts, plastic deformation starts, then strain hardening, and last is necking. From that you can find out the ultimate stress, fracture stress, yield point stress, and proportionality. So they have given good information about this one. What is the percentage elongation, percentage reduction in area, tensile strength, yield point strength, modulus of elasticity you can find out from the graph. We'll see how they are conducting. Suppose we are having a specimen, we have seen this specimen is attached to the UTM, and then we conduct the test. So we apply the pulling loads. So both the pulling load is applied. After that, length is increasing. So this is the neck formation. So when you apply the pulling load, the length will increase, diameter will decrease, and then at some time, this is the area where the diameter is going to reduce. This is called the neck formation. So the simulation of the videos are available on these virtual labs. So we'll see the stress and strain diagram of the structural steel. So for a different material, the diagram will be different. We have seen in the virtual lab material the diagram of the mild steel. So this is the diagram of the structural steel. So this is the linear line proportional limit input stress. After that yielding will start, and then next part is strain hardening, and after that making. This is the breaking point. Strain is drawn on the x-axis and on the y-axis stress. Stress strain diagram of the structural steel, which is ductile metal, is shown. Initial part of the loading indicates a linear relationship between stress and strain, and deformation is completely recoverable in this region for both ductile and brittle metal. So in the initial line up to the elastic limit, if you remove the load, the part can gain its original size and shape. This linear relationship is known as, that is, stress is directly proportional to strain, is popularly known as stress sigma will be equal to strain into Young's modulus. So the coefficient capital E is called as the modulus of elasticity or Young's modulus. So most of the engineering structures are designed to function within their linear or elastic region only. After the stress reaches the critical value, the deformation becomes irrecoverable. The corresponding stress is called as the yield stress. So after the yield point stress, the material will not get its original size and shape. So plastic deformation will be started, or yield point or yield strength of the material, beyond which the material is said to start yielding. In some of the ductile metals like low carbon steel, as the material reaches the yield strength, it starts yielding continuously even though there is no increment in external loads or stress. This flat curve in the stress diagram is referred as a perfectly plastic region. So in some material we are getting the straight line after the yield point stress, so that is showing the perfectly plastic region. The load required to yield the material beyond its yield strength increases appreciably, and this is referred to strain hardening of the material. So for the strain hardening, we require the higher load, because after the plastic deformation, in the region of the yield, strain hardening, due to strain hardening, the load required will be high. In other ductile metals like aluminum alloys, the strain hardening occurs immediately after the linear elastic region without perfectly elastic region. After the stress in the specimen reaches the maximum value, it is called as the ultimate strain. Upon further stretching, the diameter of the specimen starts decreasing fast due to local instability, and this phenomenon is known as necking. So we have seen that length will increase and diameter will decrease, and after some time, after the maximum load, the diameter will decrease drastically. That area will be called as the necking, and neck formation will be started. The load required for further elongation of the material in the necking region decreases with decrease in the diameter, and the stress value at which the material fails is called as the breaking stress. So after some time the material will fail, that is called as the breaking strength. So in case of the brittle metals like cast iron and concrete, the material experiences smaller deformation before rupture, and there is no necking. So we can see that this is the linear line up to this elastic limit, and after that directly, so curve deviates, and after that failure will be there. So next part is the true stress and strain. In drawing the stress and strain diagram, the stress was calculated by dividing the load by the initial or original cross section of the specimen. But it is clear that as the specimen elongates, its diameter decreases, and the decrease in the cross section is apparent during the necking phase. So normally to calculate the stresses, we are assuming that whatever the area is there, that is original area. However, in the actual practice, the area will decrease. Hence, the actual stress which is obtained by dividing the load by the actual cross section area in the deformed specimen is different from that of the engineering stress that is obtained using deformed cross section area. So this stress and strain will be called as the true stress and strain. So true stress or actual stress will be equal to P load, whatever the load, and upon area. Whatever the area actually means whatever the area at that load. Though the difference between true stress and strain. True stress and engineering stress is negligible for smaller loads. The former is always higher than the latter for larger loads. Similarly, if the initial length of the specimen is used to calculate the strain, it is called as engineering strain. But some engineering applications like metal forming process involve large deformation and they require actual or true strains that are obtained using the successive recorded lengths to calculate the strain. The true strain will be equal to integration from L original to L delta L upon L. So natural log will be L upon L original. So this is the diagram. There are two diagrams. One is the engineering stress and strain. We calculate. We have seen, and second is that true stress and strain diagram. The true strain is also called as actual strain or natural strain. And this plays an important role in the theories of viscosity. The difference in using engineering stress and strain and the true stress and strain is noticeable after the proportional limit is crossed. Then what is the allowable stress? Many unknown factors that influence the actual stress in a member. A factor of safety is needed to obtain allowable load. Normally we know that whatever the load we calculate, that is ultimate stress, yield point stress. The values in the actual practice, whatever the material we produce, there can be flaws, some defects are there, inherent defects are there. So to consider that one, we consider the one point, that is factor safety. So to avoid the failure of the material, so we consider the factor of safety is a ratio of the failure load divided by the allowable load. So what is the allowable load is there divided by some factor of safety. We'll give the factor of safety. So factor of safety will be equal to failure load upon allowable load. So this is the stress.